Yes.
Man, I'm fucking out of cigarettes. Yeah. Anyway, alright, so I started trying to do like a positive thing yesterday. And I pumped out like 2 hours worth of content, man. And it started off, I think the first two videos seemed to be kind of somewhat in a positive direction. And then I went for a walk and started venting my grievances with society and, you know, all the whatever. So, and then I tried to get back on the positive thing. So anyways, I'm gonna kind of maybe do a little bit of positive stuff or whatever. I mean, to where I'm not like, you know, I'm not just like seemingly going on a black pill rant. So, you know, like yesterday, so if I'm gonna do a positive thing, videos, I'm just going to have to draw from my own experience. And, you know, I guess unfortunately for some, my positive experience is going to have to do with my abstinence from drugs and alcohol and my involvement in the 12 steps and other people that are involved in the steps. So I'm going to kind of continue with that. And so let's just get right into it. So this is what in the 12 step kind of vein of things. One of the biggest emphasis in order to really do these things they call the steps is it requires an open mind, honesty. They say this is like an old, like this is like a you know, a kind of one of these mantra type things that they say. How it works, how it works with these steps and all this shit, right? Is it how using how the word how as an acronym? It requires, first of all, honesty, and then it requires open-mindedness, and then willingness. This is how it works. So, if I were to approach the steps, in order to do them effectively, for them to get the desired result, you know, if I were to really truly like experiment with these steps to see if this is bullshit or if this is, you know, if there's some value to this, the only way to approach it to find out if there's value or not in the steps requires honesty and open-mindedness and willingness. And, you know, it does talk about how there are people that are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves, which would be basically what you and I might refer to as a sheeple. Sheeple, NPCs, these type of people are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when we're talking about like truther movement and truthers and all this shit, well, that requires honesty. To be a truther, a person has to be honest. And you see as well as I do, it's no secret that there's these people that are total fucking lying, grifting shills that are proclaiming themselves truthers and part of the truth community. But they're not. If they're lying, that they're not a truther. And so the truther movement is totally shit now. It's all a bunch of grifting, lying shills. You know, you might find every once in a while an honest truther, but 9 times out of 10 at this point, it's all just a bunch of liars. That's all the truther movement has become, you know. And that might sound like I'm being black-pilled, but actually it's not. It's just realistic. If you realistically look at it, it's just a fake psyop. The truther movement is a fucking psyop. That's all it is. But a real truther first, it requires honesty. Would you agree? Honesty is like one of the main principles of the so-called truther movement. But when you observe the truther movement, it's obviously not a principle. Like, they'll lie and do all kinds of shit, and they'll justify in their mind how by lying is how we're going to get the truth to people, is we have to deceive them and shit. And it's like, well, if it's that bad, then it ain't there. It's pointless in even participating in the truther community if everybody's lying, by any means necessary, right? So if it means lying, well, I go ahead and participate in that. I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. But honesty. Honesty, that's what's required to be a real truther, is to be honest. And a person can't really be honest with others if they're not honest with themselves. So honesty, right? This is how this 12-step kind of thing works. It requires that how is an acronym: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. So first, a person has to be capable of being honest. And like I say, it does say in there that there are people that are just constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. Like, they just can't be honest. And it goes on to say that they're not at fault. These people that are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves are not at fault. They appear to have been born that way. They're just born constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. And so there are these people. They exist, and they're everywhere. They're no matter where you go, there's going to be people that are just constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. And what it really is that they're sick. They're sick individuals. There's some kind of malady, But anyways, so honesty is a big part. You have to be honest when approaching the steps. You have to be honest about all this, including with yourself. So then the next one is open-mindedness. Okay, now let's think about open-mindedness. So this is, see, I have been cursed with open-mindedness by drinking the 12-step Kool-Aid. Because when people say stuff about, like, it's the Jays, well, I tend to push myself to try to have an open mind about these things and investigate them, Another thing that they say that contempt prior to investigation will lead a man into everlasting ignorance. So I like to try to investigate something before I decide whether I'm going to have contempt for it, because contempt prior to investigation is what leads to ignorance. So when people talk about it's the Jays, I've done like a lot of open-minded, observation of the it's the Jays thing, and as open-minded and honest and everything as I can be, and willing to listen to the it's the Jays thing. I'm telling you, it's just total bullshit. It's ridiculous bullshit. It is like, it's so ridiculous. But nonetheless, you got all these people that supposedly, I wonder how many of them are ADL agents, and all other kinds of agents and useful idiots. But anyways, I don't want this to become it's the Jays thing. But I've approached the whole it's the Jays thing with an open mind, as open of a mind as I can possibly have, and be totally honest and open-minded and willing to listen to the it's the Jays thing. And I've been doing it for a long time, like years. I've been listening to this, and it's always the same conclusion. It's just bullshit. It's just straight up bullshit, dude. But whatever. Anyways, but honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. So because I've started to, over a long period of time, I've started to kind of cultivate a more of an open mind and honesty and willingness to listen to people, and stuff. It's kind of almost a curse, because then when I'll see the most ridiculous proposals, and then I'll just be as open-minded and honest and willing as I can to hear them out. But just because I'm open-minded, honest, and willing doesn't mean that whatever it is going to be like, yep, you're right. Now that I've investigated it, and so now therefore it's true. And it's the Jace thing is just one example where it's like, dude, you're not. It's not. You have no proof. I'm not seeing like this big, like, wow, this big revelation. It's the Jace. And then people are always going to be like, well, that's because you just haven't looked at it deep enough. It's like, okay. But of these people, do they practice honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness? Consciously practice it. Where they're like, okay, I am going to make a conscious effort to look into something that I am skeptical about. And I'm going to make a conscious effort to be open-minded to it, honest with myself about it, and will. Do they do these things on a conscious level, or do they just say they do? Oh yeah, I'm totally open-minded, man. Okay, well then how about my stuff about homelessness? When I talk about that, I don't see any of you like being real open-minded about, oh yeah, you're right. When you point out that the panhandling thing, and then when they panhandle you, oh, you're right about, I see, I'm so open-minded, I understand what you're saying. I don't have a bunch of people like they're like, oh yeah, wow. You know, no, they just remain continually, eternally contempt toward what I'm saying and toward all the panhandlers. They just go right along with it. Oh yeah, we need to stop the panhandlers. So you got all these people that they want you to be open-minded with what they have to say, but then when you have something that you want them to be open-minded with, nope, they're like the cat in the hat and green eggs and ham. Nope, get away from me, Sam. I don't like green eggs and ham. So they want you to be open-minded with what they have to say. But they don't care at all to have any sense of open-mindedness when you start presenting what you want to them. So I'm not into people like that. People that require that I'm open-minded, but when I present something to them, they just whatever. I got more important things to do, you know. Yep, and this is common online. This is the way the whole online society works. Online is just total diarrhea garbage. It's all so fucking stupid, dude. But anyways, not much of a positive direction I'm going, right? So anyway, but but I kind of want to talk about, because you know I'm a 12-step junkie, and I've abstained from drugs and alcohol and shit for 23 years. And you might think, well, like I was brought up yesterday, people can be like, well, look at what it's done for him. He lives in some shitty trailer, and you know, and he's always complaining about shit and everything. And I'm like, dude, okay, you got a point. Look, but I'm telling you, that's why I wanted to bring up yesterday. I am not a poster child for the 12 steps. You know, like one of the things they say about the 12 steps is the only step that can be done perfectly is the first half of step 1. And the first half of step 1 is basically like abstaining from drugs and alcohol. That's the first half of step 1. Well, there's still 11 and a half more steps. It's not just about abstaining from drugs and alcohol. That's only the first half. So I've been able to do that perfectly for 23 years. And today's another day. We'll see what happens. I don't think I'm gonna be slipping up on that today, but anything's possible. So I always have to remain vigilant and aware and humble, you know. But anyway, no, I'm not a poster child of this stuff. Like I'm far from perfect. Okay, which is another thing that they say. The point is progress, not perfection. Is just to strive towards perfection, and keep an open mind that perfection could be possible, but also balance that with that nobody's perfect. I mean, who's perfect, you know? So then it's like, okay, I get you there, but so still you living in this shitty trailer out in the middle of nowhere, like, so I mean, what good has it done you know? I mean, and that's all subjective. That's subjective to each individual. You know, again, like I'm pointing out, and I fully agree, success, what is success? I've got that book, The Underachievers Manifesto, that I always keep close by, because one of the things that the Underachiever Manifesto points out is that what is success? what is it? Is it money and wealth and fame? And I mean, look at P. Diddy. Look at these people who are supposedly what is your definition of success is different than mainstream media's version of success that they want to cram down your throat all fucking day every day. So if you reject mainstream media's idea of what success is, but then you want to preach your idea of what success is to me and tell me I'm not successful because I live in a trailer, like, you see what I'm saying? So honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, and investigation. Investigate something first before having And so anyways, I wanted to share some gems, a couple of gems. Let me go into the first one. So this is a Bill W. So Bill W. was one of the founders of AA, and Bill W. has, and neither Bill or Bob, those are the two main founders, they have never ever presented themselves as some guru with the answer. They never have. They've always carried themselves up until their death as they're just another person like me and you. We all have a similar kind of we all have a lot of similarities. We all bleed red, we all breathe oxygen, we all need food, water, shelter. They've never ever presented themselves that they are the guru with all the answers. They admit that we're all on this journey together, like, and stuff. So they've always carried themselves with a sense of humility, and they've never and the whole 12-step thing is all set up to as a based in the principles of humility. That's why the traditions prevent AA from plastering their shit on billboards all over the place and commercials and all this other stuff, because it's based in the principles of humility, and where we don't know. And it's always been regarded as an answer, never the answer. It's just an answer. But if you're contempt to that idea of this being an answer prior to thorough, authentic investigation into it, well then, I mean, it's hard. It's going to be difficult to regard your opinion as having any value if you haven't genuinely investigated it first and determined. And it already has been. Like there's like millions of people who have done this shit, and it worked for them. So there's millions of people who have given it the acid test, done an investigation, and reported back that yes, this shit works and it's real. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I personally know well over 100 people that I've known for over 2 decades that did this shit, and it worked for them. And they're not trying to sell it. They're not promoting it. They don't care if you want to get involved in it or not. None of us give a shit. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, that's cool. Nobody cares. Nobody's trying to sell it to you. It's just something that, hey, here's this thing. If you want to check it out, I mean, whatever. It really worked for me and a bunch of my friends, but whatever. I mean, do whatever you want. I mean, sure. It's only an answer. It's not the answer. I'm sure there's plenty of other shit out there, so whatever. It's no big deal. None of us care. We're not trying to promote it. None of us are trying to promote it or sell. That's why there is an emphasis on anonymity. Anonymity is all about not promoting this. This is not something to be promoted and sold like a vacuum cleaner door to door. I mean, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just something like that individuals like myself have found that works. And so, I mean, if other people are having similar struggles as I can just offer it in passing. Like, well, hey, I mean, I've found this weird shit, the 12-step thing, and it actually fucking worked to my shock and surprise. And I mean, I don't know if you want to check it out, but again, I'm not selling you a vacuum cleaner. I'm not doing it don't matter to me. It don't matter to me. Do whatever you want. I'm not here. So it's not a it's just a thing. It's just that's the way it's always functioned, and this thing has been around for over 100 years, and you know, but anyways, whatever. So I'm not trying to pitch you a vacuum cleaner or nothing. You know, if you want to get pitched a vacuum cleaner, go hang out in the truth community. They got all kinds of books for sale. They got gold for sale. They got survival food for sale. You know, they got their Patreon accounts that you can pay to get involved, and they'll sell you shit all day long. You know, if that's what you prefer, is that promoted fucking bullshit. It's all over in the truth community, man. They got all kinds of gold nuggets for sale and survival food nuggets for sale, and you can purchase subscriptions to Patreon accounts, and just it's all kinds of exchange of money and goods and all that all throughout the truther community. You know, so do whatever. Like, I'm not trying to pitch you nothing, but anyways, let's get on to these gems I found. So I'm going to read a couple of these. This first one that I'm going to read is like, I discovered this years. It took years before I finally discovered this. And this is a Bill W. quote. And this is one of the things that I love about the 12 steps, which is different from it. This is what makes something like this completely different than pretty much anything I've ever come across. It says up at the top, it says, newcomers are approaching AA at the rate of tens of thousands yearly. They represent almost every belief and attitude imaginable. We have atheists and agnostics. We have people of nearly every race, culture, and religion. In AA, we are supposed to be bound together in the kinship of a common suffering. Consequently, the full individual liberty to practice any creed or principle or therapy whatever should be a first consideration for us all. Let us not, therefore, pressure anyone with our individual or even our collective views. Let us instead accord each other the respect and love that is due to every human being as he tries to make his way toward the light. Let us always try to be inclusive rather than exclusive. Let us remember that each alcoholic among us is a member of AA so long as he or she so declares. So that's the spirit. That is the spirit. And this was in 1965. I mean, this shit is so ahead of its time. It's ridiculous. So that's the spirit of this whole thing. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what he's saying. We're supposed to be bound together in the kinship of a common suffering, which for alcoholics is alcoholism. But it goes deeper than just, being addicted to alcohol. That's why I said, like, it says that, the only step that can be perfected is the first half of step 1, which is we stopped using alcohol and drugs. That's the only step that can be done perfectly of the 12, is the first half of step 1, which, again, I will say I have done perfectly for over 23 years now. The rest of it is all just things that are never mastered. That is a constant, they're just things that are, like the second half, for example, of step 1 is our lives have become unmanageable. We cannot perfectly manage our lives by having done the 12 steps. That is just something that is a daily thing, like to strive toward perfectly managing our lives. It will never end. That's so, and it's progress, not perfection, is the goal, is progress. So is my life perfectly managed now that no, I live in a trailer and all this, but again, let's go back to that, because in regards to the way I live my life. So a lot of people assume that once an alcoholic stops drinking and using, that they, clean up and they cut their hair and they start being a milquetoast do-gooder or whatever. But that's not the case, and it's all explained right here. We have tens of thousands of newcomers approaching AA yearly. They represent almost every belief and attitude imaginable. Well, my belief and attitude is different than other people's, including yours. We have atheists and agnostics. That's another thing. You might think, well, once an alcoholic stops drinking and using, they go to church and they believe in Jesus, blah, blah. And no, I'm sorry, and so whatever. Okay. And then it goes on. We have people of nearly every race, culture, and religion. Every race, culture, and religion. Okay, nearly every race, culture, and religion. Okay, and then it says we are supposed to be bound together in the kinship of a common suffering, which is alcoholism and drug addiction. Okay, consequently, the full individual liberty to practice any creed or principle or therapy, whatever, should be a first consideration for us all. So if you, for example, happen to, I don't know, are a Trumper or you're a liberal, well, that's none of my business. Like, you got people of nearly every race, culture, religion, etc. So and people should have the liberty to practice any of these things, anything, Buddhism, whatever, whatever. And it should be a first consideration for us all, And so then it says, let us not therefore let us not pressure anyone with our individual or even our collective views. Let us instead accord each person the respect and love that is due to every human being as he tries to make his way. That's every human being. That includes sheeple, NPCs, Trumpers, liberals, Christians, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because really, what do I know? Like I'm the arbiter of fucking the one and only answer for everyone on the planet Earth? Absolutely not. I'm just a flawed human being. And so anyways, so this is different. This type of society that's based in principles like what is outlined in this paragraph is vastly different than your typical kind of group or society or religion or this or that. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of point that out in my attempt at doing I'm doing a positive video. So my life is different, than maybe yours. Like I might be perceived by others as having failed in life, but is that really necessarily the case? Is it? It might be perceived to others that I have failed in life and I'm living in this trailer and and whatever, and I mean, but failed at what though? Like failure. The antonym for failure is success. So if I am perceived to have failed in life because of that I live in a trailer and la la la, then what is success? Is success living in a big house like P. Diddy? And what is success? So now I want to share with you a gem that I found that I already kind of lived my life this way and stuff before I found this gem. So when I found it, it resonated with me, where I was like, wow, this is kind of a lot of how I view stuff and the direction that I want to go with my life. Okay. And so in the direction that I want to go with my life, I don't know that I am a failure. It's all based in perception, Like, you might think P. Diddy is a successful person, or any of these people like this with these big mansions and tunnels that go to the Playboy Mansion. And if that isn't, well, then what is it? If that's then is it the middle class? Is that what success is? Or is it the working class? Like, what is, everybody's perception of what success is different. Again, going back to what AA says, we have people of nearly every race, culture, belief. Like, all these people have different perceptions of what success is. And we're not supposed to be pressuring other people with what we think, whether it's an individual or a collective view. We're not supposed to be pressuring any people, any members of AA or newcomers, as to what. So we're supposed to be giving everyone the respect and love that is due to them as they make their way to what success means to them. And so just because me living in a trailer isn't perceived as success to you, well, what you perceive as success is probably not what I would not agree with it. Like, if your view of success is, having a fucking 5-bedroom home with a white picket fence and a wife and 2 children and a career and all this, well, that's fine for you. And if that's what success means to you, that's fine. But that everyone else doesn't view the same as you, that they're all wrong. Like, if I don't perceive success the same as you do, I'm wrong and you're right. This is just not how. So I've learned all these principles and I've understood them, and so I've forged my own path of what success means to me. And success to me is not having a 4-bedroom house and 2 children and 3 cars in the garage and a white picket fence and a career. To me, that's not success. But now, if it is to someone else, it's none of my business. And I'm happy for them if whatever they perceive as success is, if they're achieving it, as long as it's not harmful to anyone, including anyone else and even themselves. But other than that, like, it's none of my business what success is to you. So anyways, now let me show you the path that I am on. Since I'm not pursuing the career and the 4-bedroom house and the white picket fence, this is something that is a gem I found that I think you might find interesting. And so let's find it here. Okay. This is, I'm going to have to put my old man glasses on. This is basically what a Gnostic. And now I'm not a self-proclaimed Gnostic. And so Gnostic is just a word. But anyways, I wanted to share this with you because, so basically this goes into what is a Gnostic. And I'm going to start up at the top and read this. Okay, here we go. It is not easy to give a reply to this question, but an attempt must be made nevertheless. We might essay such an answer by saying that the Gnostics differed from the majority of humankind, not only in details of belief and of ethical precept, but in their most essential and fundamental view of existence and its purpose. Their divergence was a radical one. Their divergence was a radical one in the sense of the word, for it went back to the root of humankind's assumptions and attitudes regarding life. Irrespective of their religious and philosophical beliefs, most people nourish certain unconscious assumptions pertaining human condition which do not spring from the formative, focused agencies of consciousness, but which radiate from a deep unconscious substratum of the mind. This mind is ruled by biology rather than by psychology. It is automatic rather than subject to conscious choices and insights. The most important among these assumptions, which may be said to sum up all others, is the belief that the world is good and that our involvement in it is somehow desirable and ultimately beneficial. This assumption leads to a host of others, all of which are more or less characterized by submissiveness toward external conditions and toward the laws which seem to govern them. In spite of countless illogical and malevolent events of our lives, the incredible sequences, byways, repetitious insanities of human history, both collective and individual, we will believe it to be incumbent upon us to go along with the world, for it is, after all, God's world, and thus it must have meaning and goodness concealed within its operations, no matter how difficult to discern. Thus we must go on fulfilling our role within the system we can, being obedient children, diligent husbands, dutiful wives, well-behaved butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, hoping against hope that a revelation of meaning will somehow emerge from this meaningless life of conformity. Not so, said the Gnostics. Money, power, governments, the raising of families, paying of taxes, the endless chain of entrapment in circumstances and obligations, none of these were ever rejected as totally and unequivocally in human history as they were by the Gnostics. The Gnostics never hoped that any political or economic revolution could or even should do away with all the iniquitous elements within the system wherein the human soul is entrapped. Their rejection was not of one government or form of ownership in favor of another. Rather, it concerned the entire prevailing systematization of life and experience. Thus, the Gnostics were, in fact, knowers of a secret so deadly and terrible that the rulers of this world, the powers, secular and religious, who always profited from the established systems of society, could not afford to have this secret known, and even less to have it publicly proclaimed in their domain. Indeed, the Gnostics knew something, and it was this: that human life does not fulfill its promise within the structures and establishments of society, for all of these are at best but shadowy projections of another and more fundamental reality. No one comes to his true selfhood by being what society wants him to be, nor by doing what it wants him to do. Family, society, church, trade and profession, political and patriotic allegiances, as well as moral and ethical rules and commandments are, in reality, not in the least conducive to the true spiritual welfare of the human soul. On the contrary, they are more often not the very shackles which keep us from our true spiritual destiny. So, my view aligns much more with this. I do not believe in all of this society and all this shit. I don't believe in it. In being a well-behaved baker and candlestick maker. I don't believe in all this shit about being raising of families and paying taxes. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And that's why, like yesterday, I go for a walk and I show you how stupid everything is. It's all stupid. Look at these signs that are plastered all over the place. Like, the whole thing is stupid to me. And so that's why I live in a trailer. That's why I don't have an interest in participating in that shit, because participating in all that are the very shackles that keep me from my true destiny. I am far more interested in my true destiny than the systematization of reality that we are presented before us all day, every day, including the fake money system, the fake and rigged money system, the fake and rigged internet, the fake and rigged politics. It's all fake and rigged. All of it is. And all of that stuff, all of it, are only nothing but shackles that keep me from my true destiny. So I'm slowly inching my way off of all that, away from all that. But I don't judge people that are participating in it. It's none of my business what they participate in. As long as they aren't interfering with my life, it's none of my business. And when your average Joe Blow rolls into town here in his $50,000 car and pulls up and pumps gas and goes and grabs some hamburgers at McDonald's, is that directly interfering with my life? Well, maybe if I were to put a super high-powered million magnification on it, the magic magnification of it, yeah, in some form or other, it might be inadvertently interfering with my life. But in a general way, the person rolling up, pulling off the freeway, coming in, pumping gas, getting the fucking hamburger at McDonald's, and, going and, doing whatever, it doesn't really matter to me. And it's none of my business what they're doing. Even though, yes, if you put a magic magnifying micro glass on it, you might find traces of how that somehow inadvertently interfering with my life. But, I mean, that's just kind of, trivial. Whatever they're interfering with my life is so minuscule and trivial that I'm not really concerned with it. It's the more egregious things that I'm concerned about that are interfering with my life. But like when I went for a walk yesterday, these things are interfering with my life. Like, they're telling me it's against the law to panhandle at the business that I'm walking into, and then the very business that's preaching this to me is panhandling me when I'm paying for their overpriced bullshit. That's bullshit. And then, and all this stuff with the COVID versus nicotine. It's all bull. This is like directly interfering with my life. And no, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't believe in getting a career and a 4-bedroom house and raising of families and paying of taxes and doing all. It's all bullshit. And those are the very shackles that keep me from my true destiny. I'm interested in my true destiny, not what someone else perceives my destiny is. And realizing my true destiny that's true success to me. Participating in all of this, all this bullshit, it's not success to me. I mean, if it is for someone else, that's fine. And if you're achieving it and you're happy, I'm happy for you, as long as you aren't really hurting other people. The only thing is the way the system is designed is like harmful. It's indirectly harmful to everybody. But I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, there's nothing that I can do about that except for myself. So the less I participate in this harmful beast system, well, the less harm I'm doing to others in turn. And to me, those type of principles are far more important than, what kind of house I live in or car I drive or how much money I have in my bank account. This is why I have a respect for homeless people that others don't. Despite how much you might look down on homeless people, well, they're participating in the beast system way less than you if you're not homeless. So they easily have equally as much, if not more, to judge you than you do them. But it's funny how society judges the homeless. Like when I took a walk yesterday, all those stop panhandling, it's all aggressive fucking gang stalking of the homeless, and it's all totally acceptable in society. I don't want nothing to do with that. And everybody else thinks that it's no big deal, that it shouldn't even be pointed out, that I'm wasting my time for pointing that out. It's like, oh, that's just some normie shit or whatever. You're not even understanding what. No, anybody that thinks that I'm not understanding what's going on, and they think that it's no big deal that there's signs posted everywhere about panhandling, and they think that's just some normie bullshit, and there's bigger things going. I think you're a normie because you don't even. If I didn't point it out to you, you wouldn't even be aware of it. And by me pointing it out to you, now you are aware of it, and then you're like, oh, that's just bullshit. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. When the pods come rolling in and the bug sandwiches and they start ushering you to your pod and eat, that's what this is all about. That's what, ending panhandling and all this stuff. It's all about rolling in the pods, man. They manufactured all this homelessness. And you're just not even aware that all this has been manufactured. You're not even aware that the homeless are the least are the least participant in the beast system, and you're far more participating in the beast system than them. and then you're regarding them just like mainstream media wants you to. Just ignore them. They're all shit. So anyways, no, I'm far more interested in my true destiny, not the destiny that people think I should be moving towards, like the house and the picket fence and the car and the career and the children and I don't care about any of that shit, dude. I'll live in a fucking trailer in the desert out in the middle of nowhere and continue to pursue my true destiny than fucking get mixed in with all that dumb shit. So and then so going back to like what this says, with the many paths, the kinship of a common suffering, we have the people involved represent almost every belief and attitude imaginable. Well, I'm explaining my belief and attitude, and it says we have, the newcomer represents almost every belief and attitude imaginable, including atheists and agnostics. And I just read to you Gnostic, what a Gnostic is, some just depictions of what Gnosticism is. And so there are Gnostics as well. There are atheists, there are Gnostics, there are agnostics, people of nearly every race, culture, religion. And the spirit of the 12 steps is supposed to be, we're all bound together in a commonality. We're looking at each other's common stuff instead of focusing on our differences. We're focusing on our similarities. Consequently, because we have so many different types of people, including Gnostics, agnostics, atheists, people of nearly every race, culture, religion, and every belief and attitude imaginable, consequently, the full individual liberty to practice any creed or principle or therapy, whatever, should be a first consideration for us all. This is the true spirit of the steps. Let us not, therefore, pressure anyone with our individual or even our collective views. So this is the spirit of what the 12 steps is about. Now, I don't see anything like that. I don't see anything that's inclusive of all different types of beliefs and cultures. And no, everybody's exclusive to certain, you have to be part of the truther community or whatever. And so, this is like, name something else that's that inclusive, where it's like, it doesn't matter. We're supposed to be bound together in the kinship of a commonality, where we are addressing each other's similarities, not focusing on each other's differences, and that anyone is allowed. If it doesn't matter if they're a Christian or a Buddhist or an atheist or a Gnostic or an agnostic or they come from some culture, this culture or that culture, or they're a Trumper or a liberal or apolitical. None of these things matter. This is all bullshit. And that's what I agree. I don't really give a fuck whether a person voted or not. That doesn't determine, in my eyes, that doesn't discern that person as a this or a that, or none. All of these things are all superficial and just, they have little to no meaning at all in the grand scheme of things. And I like to be around people that have different views than me and different perspectives, whether I agree with them or not. Like I said, I've got friends that are 12-step. I got tons of 12-stepper friends they're all about all this shit. They got their careers and they're, and they're raising their families and they're, voting or whatever. I don't care. None of that stuff matters to me. I don't judge a person based off of those things at all whatsoever. Like, that is like the most trivial aspects of anything. It's there's a thing in one of the literature that says it's not what a person believes, it's what a person does. It's not what you or I believe, it's what we do. It's what we do that matters. Like, am I a decent person? well, if I'm a decent look, like if I'm looking at somebody who's a sheeple, maybe they're a sheeple or NPC, but if I look at them, are they a decent person? Or are they just kind of, they're not really interfering in other people's lives, and they're just trying to do what's, well, that's not a sheeple. Most people are, the sheeple is the one that's not decent. And there are decent people in the world. I think a lot of people are super black-pilled. They think that there aren't very decent people. And yes, there is truth to that. Like, but if you seek decent people, you will find them. If you're so black-pilled that you believe that there are no decent people in the world, you'll never find decent people. I guarantee you that. If you are so black-pilled that you believe there are no decent people in the world and that they're nowhere to be found, you won't ever find them. Never. If you seek decent people with a glimmer of hope that you might actually find decent people, you will find them. And dude, I've found a ton of them. Like, I know tons of decent people. But yes, it is true. Like, I'll just close it with this because this is a long video. I will nonetheless agree. Like, Charles Schultz was right when he said, I love humankind. It's people I can't stand. There are a lot of fucking people that are not decent people, that are shitty people. There are a lot. And because there are so many, it's easy to fall into this belief that decent people are impossible to find. And that it's easy to get black-pilled because there's so many people that are fucked up. Beware the black pill. Remember, there is no black pill. There is only the red pill and the blue pill. And the black pill is the black pill. There is no black pill. There is only delusion and truth. And the truth is that there are decent people in the world. The delusion is that there are none or so few that I will never encounter them in my life. Don't be delusional. There is no black pill. Just like he said about the spoon. Don't try to bend the spoon. That's impossible. Only try to realize the truth. Only try to realize the truth. There is no spoon. There is no black pill.